Welcome back to the Rebel's Edge. Today, Pete and I talking about, well, the usual. Macro, are the markets going to be reactive to the shutdown that is looming? Oh, no, oh, no. We'll have our take on exactly what that means for the markets and how likely is it that we get a CR, a continuing resolution. That and today's sports on the Rebel's Edge. Bang.
It is official. We are ready to rock and roll, man.
We are. So, Pete, we got the usual, continuing resolution being dangled out there as one of the potential solutions to government shutdown. Let's dive right into macro, shall we, Pete?
Let's do it.
So, not unprecedented, folks. If you're older than the stuff in Pete's fridge, you know that there have been 14 shutdowns since 1981. 14, not threatened, 14 shutdowns. And they usually are very short-lived. Sometimes they're long, 35 days, I guess, was 2018 through 2019. But they're basically just, well, the one side says, you give us this or we won't vote. And the other side says, well, go ahead, shut down the government, see how that does for you in the midterms. So that's the big threat right now, folks. And Stuck Schumer, not Chuck, Stuck Schumer is stuck in the mud here on this one, Pete, trying to decide whether or not he wants to risk the midterms by shutting down the government. Because right now, the president is saying, hey, I'm ready to negotiate, but I am not going to be giving billions and billions of dollars to foreign countries and illegal immigrants that are in our country for healthcare when other people are paying for it, as in taxpayers. What do you got, Pete?
Well, we got that PMI today, John. And again, 22nd consecutive month where we are underneath 50. That's kind of interesting. Here we are today at 40.6. That missed what the estimates were going to be as well. Consumer confidence is interesting for me because you and I were talking before we came on here, and it's like, okay, so you go in some crappy city somewhere, maybe Chicago, and I don't mean too offensively, but
might be.
And you say to 2,500 people, hey, what do you think? It's like, really? You think that's a pretty good sample set, huh? But that was something where we missed as well. So, supposedly our consumer confidence is on a negative, relatively speaking. At least it was underneath what was expected, but it's ridiculous, John. If any of those things that we just talked about were that meaningful outside of what you're talking about, government shutdown, the volatility index probably would have gotten a little bit further along than 16s. I mean, we're at 15, 16. We talked about it yesterday. We've been in this very, very tight range. And if we get above that, that would be something. But as of right now, with the information that we've got, it's still in the 16s, John, for the VIX.
Yeah, it's if consumer confidence is so bad, why are the consumer product companies and so forth doing so well, Pete? Why are so many restaurants full? Now, there are some, of course, somewhere that aren't, and there are some that are, seeing lines out the door. We get it. But the consumer doesn't seem like they're not enjoying this. It seems like it's pretty good for the consumer. We would always like things cheaper, but I think the consumer confidence reading, like you said, is probably not that accurate. All right.
No.
Futures, gold, again. Pete's trade, silver and gold, the Burl Ives trade, because Burl's the guy that sang that in Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, in case you guys missed that reference when Pete always throws it out there. Silver and gold. 3,871, another record, Pete. We're seeing safe haven buying and a lot of people that, quite frankly, don't buy cryptos, buy gold. And they buy silver and platinum and diamonds probably. So are they still doing well? Yes. So those gold is my future today, but take any of the precious metals, Pete.
Absolutely. Take the metals, take oil. How about crude taking a bit of a hit as well today, John? I mean, it's now back to the lowest levels that it's been since going back to April, which was very momentarily there around 62. And it was actually even maybe a little bit lower than that. But then you could go even further back. I mean, this has been something that's been very interesting to watch as we've seen crude just kind of drop. I got to think that's going to be, something that's going to affect, some of the gasoline prices and everything else. So there's a lot to that. But I think that's going to be the fantastic future for me, John, is just the fact that we're seeing gold and not just above 3,800, skyrocketing above 3,800. And silver has been on fire just as much as gold. They've been pretty much in tandem, moving to the upside over the last, call it year to date, whatever you want to look at. It's been just flying to the upside. But then you've got crude oil dropping. So it's an interesting backdrop to what we've got on the markets.
And we've had a lot of SLV, folks. Most of you know what that is. It's the silver ETF, just like GLD is the gold ETF. SLV, unusual activity day after day after day as that thing just goes, like a rocket, which we will be speaking about shortly. But before we get to the rocket, Fly Aerospace and so forth, we're going to talk a little bit about another firm that we're working with. It's Andre Agassi's firm, and the firm bears his name, AASP, like Andre Agassi Sport Enterprises. I mean, he is a great guy. I was lucky enough to interview him at the US Open. Fabulous individual, has built, I don't know how many charter schools, Pete. And I'm not talking about one or two. I'm talking about dozens and dozens of charter schools because he's been successful and because he can use his name and his brand to help raise money. It's not all his money that goes into these, but if he wasn't doing it, these wouldn't be getting built because, he's the Pied Piper that are bringing in people for this. And he is, of course, an 8-time Grand Slam winner. Yeah. And he's now involved with paddleball, as well as pickleball. I mean, those are 3 separate things, by the way, folks. Yep. Paddleball over in Europe, that is where they're playing off a 3 wall speed. It's a lot like handball, except with a racket. And pickleball is, of course, the fastest growing sport. He has so many great things going on with this, folks. In the next few weeks, I'm going to be able to tell you about the sponsors that have come in. And by the way, they're not only S&P 500 companies that are backing him in this. There's also just a huge amount of people in the sports arena that want to be part of this. Because like I say, when you talk about something that's growing at 300% a year, like pickleball is, there's so much going on, and Andre Agassi is going to be right at the center of it. And he's got a publicly traded stock called AASP, Andre Agassi Sports Enterprises. So very cool guy. It's a great stock. I own it. And I think you guys are going to enjoy the ride when you start hearing all the news that I can then begin sharing with you over the next several weeks. So with that said, Pete, let's take a look at what's going on with FLY.
We can laugh because we know the results didn't hurt anybody, but did that even get off the ground, John?
If it did, it was only because of the explosion that it got off the ground.
I mean, it's too bad. It's terrible that was the results, but I mean, really?
Well, Firefly Aerospace, folks, is pretty exceptional in what they do, but they have now had a couple failures, Pete, that have not treated them so swell. So I would say that this is an issue for them going forward. It's why, of course, we're seeing the stock not do so well. That's an understatement, I guess. But the shares are moving to the downside rather quickly, Pete. So down 22% early on. This was their Alpha rocket, which exploded pre-flight down there in Texas. And like Pete said, thank goodness nobody was hurt as far as we know.
Yeah. Unbelievable to watch that whole thing, John, just because of the fact that these poor guys obviously they put in all this work and then this is the result, right? I mean, it would be one thing if it at least maybe got off the ground, but that might have been part of the problem as well. They did get recently approved for some future launches and that type of thing, John. It'll be interesting to see how they progress and if they're able to progress in a good way, because right now, as you mentioned, down 22%. Well, that's also hitting 52-week lows. So This is a stock that really has to have something positive come to them. And they certainly haven't gotten it yet. You know, the pre-flight tests and all the rest of these things, that was where the explosion was. That's been a bit of a problem. And it's something that they're going to have to get this fixed, though, John, because this is the second time now that they've had an issue. So at some point, they're going to have to prove, okay, here's the proof of concept. Here's the concept. Here's this thing flying in the air, because right now we're not seeing this thing getting up and off the ground even. So it's not flying in the air. And that's kind of usually what you're looking for with a rocket.
Yeah, well, Elon makes it look so easy, Pete, over at SpaceX. Especially, you know, not only do they take off, but they land vertically back where they came from, and two giant chopsticks grab it and all that kind of stuff. That ain't what's happening over with Firefly right now. And, you know, this is a $4 billion company. I bet Elon's company, Pete, is pushing close to $1 trillion. SpaceX, that is. And he's also got his communications as part of that. You know, what we were talking about with SATs and the basically the ability of not just Starlink, but of having people all over the planet use that as their cellular network, if you will, up there on the satellites instead of ground-based and so forth. It's pretty special. And people kind of think, well, everybody can just do that, right? No, not so easy. All right, take a look at CoreWeave. RWV. Now, we have hit this one before, Pete, and we've hit it because of unusual activity, quite frankly. And did we have it in this case? Yes. The stock pops like 15%, and we had two separate incidents on the same day. 9/24, you see it there on your screen. They were in buying 4,200 of the Nove 160s, and then earlier in the same day, they were buying 9,800 of the Halloween, the 31st of October 160s, with the stock down there. Well, what did it do? Pretty much exploded to the upside today. And just a fabulous, look at that from the 8th of September on, Pete. Just boom, 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 boom to the upside. And yeah, these calls went from, I think about $9 yesterday, Pete, to $19 today. Bang.
They got some shorts in here, John. That's helping a little bit of that squeeze, that 15% that they're seeing. But like you pointed out, it's not just a today move. This thing has been moving even ahead of this, and we've got that unusual option activity. They do have a fair amount of debt, John, but I'll tell you what helps their debt a little bit, I think, is this deal with Meta that they've got for $14 billion. I would say that that's probably going to be something pretty good. They've also got other customers out there. It's not just Meta. They got NVIDIA. They've got OpenAI. They've got one more, Microsoft. I mean, they are sitting in the sweet spot right now. And Evercore actually came out and said, all right, here's what we got. This is an outperform rating that we're going to give them. And our price target is $1.75. So despite the fact of where it is right now, these guys think that there's plenty of room to the upside to still go for CoreWeave.
Well, we got another one, Pete, that was up like 15 or 16%, still holding on to about 11 or 12% gain. And that is UiPath, symbol PATH. And yeah, look at this chart. You know, that looks like what Firefly Aerospace wanted to look like, Firefly wanted to look like, because that looks like a rocket moving up like that. And these guys also, we had unusual option activity in here, folks. You know what that means. That means that, well, somebody bought 1.5 million share equivalent of the October 13 calls. What did they pay for them? 11 cents. There you see a chart of it on the bottom right of that screen. The chart of it shows they went to about $1.20, $1.30 today, Pete. So we're not just 10xing these things. That's more like a 12x or maybe even a 13x, Pete, in terms of, if you bought them for 11 cents, that's $11 a piece, folks. If you bought 10 of them, it's $110, and you turned it into $1,000 like that. Bang.
That doesn't seem so bad, right? I mean, you know, it's a far cry from what these guys out there from their perspective that say, oh yeah, my stock was up 4% today. Oh, that's freaking fantastic. I don't think you and I get up out of bed for a 4% gain, John.
Nope.
But anyway, that being said, they're a global leader in automation. That's something big. Obviously, they've got an incredible amount of shorts again in this particular stock. So is there a squeeze? Yeah, I would say there is a squeeze. Do they have a great balance sheet? You know, a company like this, sometimes you might say, well, you know, they've got so much invested here. They've got all this debt here, there, and everywhere. Their balance sheet is pretty flawless, I would say. You know, they got free cash flow, about $450 million, John. Their cash to debt position is $1.4 billion. So they have liquidity. They've got, you know, this outstanding balance sheet that they've got, and also a deal with NVIDIA. I would say things right now for UiPath, not so bad.
Yep. It is pretty amazing. And agentic AI, folks, is something you'll hear more and more about. I know many of you out there know more than we know about it.
Sure.
But what it is instead of just an AI where you've got rules, it learns. And this is the one that becomes the Terminator or whatever, because the fact that it learns each time it's doing a task and so forth, and then applies that artificial intelligence to it, it's making decisions based on that. So not rule-based. This is something that people will be nervous about for years to come, but nonetheless does show a lot of promise at the same time.
Yep.
All right, Pete, this one just crazy. And yeah, we've had unusual activity in Wolf, and you guys know Wolfspeed. Pete and I have talked about it. It was down there at $1.21 last Friday, Pete. Last Friday. Well, take a look at there on the screen. This isn't a reverse merger or something like that. This is, we caught a whole bunch of people short at $1.21 on Friday, and now we're emerging out of bankruptcy and we're a $32 stock. Oh my God. I mean, look at that one, Pete. There were companies, I heard from a friend, Pete, that Jon Tobacco's his name. He's one of these, short borrow guys that can tell you everything about, when borrows, meaning the person that shorted the stock needs to find a locate for it. That's what a guy like Jon Tobacco does. It's not me endorsing John. It's just me saying he's been in that business a long time, Pete. And for this one, he said, man, they were coming for it on the short side. And boy, were they wrong. And it cost people hundreds of millions of dollars as they were getting bought in yesterday, Pete. And it's up another 30% today.
And that shorts that you're talking about, those that have shorted this thing, they're anywhere between 30 and 40% on the short. So you think that there's a little bit of a squeeze going on here, John, to make this kind of a move to the upside? By the way, here's the move. Year to date, it's up 300%. In the last month, it's up 2,400 plus percent. 2,400 plus percent. So this thing has absolutely been ripping. Obviously, we're talking about chips with the EV space, renewable energy, all the rest of that type of thing. They're bulking up the board. They're coming out of this restructuring, like you pointed out, all these things, John. But I tell you what, from $1.21 all the way to 32, boy, that is ouch for those guys on the short side. And there were plenty of them. So I don't want to dance on them because of that. They're gutsy guys who do a lot of things, but sometimes, you have to look at what's out there and the possibilities of how much risk do you really want to have on. And these guys apparently were willing to have incredible amounts of risk. Ain't feeling so good today, that's for sure.
Well, Pete, if only there were a couple guys that wrote a book about how you don't just trade stock. Something maybe like, it's not an option to just trade stock. Because if you shorted this stock at $1.20, that's all you could make is $1.20. But you could lose basically $30. So a 30-to-1 risk reward, you're thinking maybe the bankruptcy means it goes away, and instead these guys shed 70% of their debt and so forth, and they come out in the space that's got one of the biggest demands, EV chips and things like that. So if only there were a book, Pete, if only there were a book that people could go out and get so that they could understand put options, because you could still bet against it at $1 with a put option, and maybe you pay 10 or 11 cents for it. And if you're wrong and it goes up $30, you lose 10 or 11 cents. Seems a lot better than being short the stock at $1.20 and seeing it go to $33. It was over 40 for a while today, Pete, by the way.
Unreal. Unbelievable.
There are a couple guys there and here that have written such a book, and you can get it by just going to itsnotanoption.com. That's itsnotanoption.com, because again, we're not rooting against you short sellers, but we are saying there's a better way to do it, guys and gals, much better way, where you define your risk on entry instead of getting bought in yesterday at 10 or 15 bucks and then see it go up another 30% today.
Right.
Not a good way. All right. Let's take a look at our friend Caleb Williams, Pete. My quarterback, he's finally showing some of the promise that we thought he had, but here was Sims talking about him before he had the last great game, Pete, in Vegas. So let's give him a listen.
Last year, if Caleb doesn't have a good year this year, they'll probably draft another quarterback. Man, that is the dumbest damn thing I've ever heard.
He is so right. That is the dumbest
Caleb
damn
Williams,
thing.
anytime last year, I know it wasn't great, but he's a damn rookie. He didn't throw many interceptions.
With no offensive line
and if you can't watch him and see, man, look at that throw. There are not a lot of guys in the league that can make these
How
kind
many
of throws.
guys can make that throw, Phil?
Well, not enough. Let's put it that way. Oh, but, arm strength is overrated, Kay. I've heard that before. How's that working out for some of these quarterbacks? Caleb Williams, size, mobility. He doesn't have a good arm. He's got a borderline
Look at
great
that
arm.
pocket, John.
And
That's
he can make plays down the field.
Yep.
That flea flicker they had, who could catch the ball? He probably didn't even get the seams on the football, or the laces, I should say. And he threw it about 50 yards or 60, whatever, just like it's nothing. And there he is moving again. So I like him.
Show me a
think this is
quarterback
going
who
to turn
throws
out really
the
well
tight
for
end.
him.
You're going to have a
Johnson,
successful
that's for sure.
quarterback. That's all I got to say. John, I've been preaching that for years, and you know it. I mean, as a linebacker, you're told, hey, get back behind there and cover the curl because that's a deeper pass. Let the tight end catch the ball and make a tackle. You know what? Offenses still don't understand it. They still don't understand it. Patrick Mahomes understands it. He's got Kelsey out there. I mean, you look at the top 5 or 6 tight ends, and I tell you what, you've got a good chance that those guys are probably playing with great quarterbacks. and the guys with the crappy quarterbacks are the ones where the quarterback always has to throw that beautiful long pass to some receiver somewhere out there rather than making the right decision. But it is interesting, John. I'll tell you what, he's got 8 touchdowns this year. He's got 2 interceptions. He's only been sacked 7 times, which I think makes that part of the reason why he's doing better. I mean, we're getting a little deeper into the early part of this season. And as we do that, he's only got 7. Last year, I think the guy, I don't even remember what the number was, John, but it was some obscene number of sacks last year that he took.
68.
68. Holy crap. I mean, you're only playing 17 games. So, how many per game? I mean, the whole thing is ridiculous, but they lost to a what most people would say is a pretty damn good team in the Minnesota Vikings, right? I mean, they had a great year last year. They had a lot of guys coming back. They made some moves. They did this and that. They lost to the Lions. Lions have maybe one of the best quarterbacks in all of NFL and a really good head coach who lost these coordinators, and yet the Lions keep on rolling along, John. But they did beat the Cowboys, depending on what you think of the Cowboys, and now they beat the Raiders. So I don't know. I think people that don't realize Caleb Williams is probably a lot better than they think because all they're judging it off is last year because a lot of them didn't even watch him at USC or whatever. He's a pretty damn good quarterback, John. He really is. All right. How about this? Who are some of the teams right now in college football that have 1 loss but still look pretty damn good? And I thought it would be kind of a fun thing to go through, John. So here's what I've got for you. I took Virginia as one of those, and here's why. They went toe-to-toe with Florida State. They won it in overtime. They do have a bad loss they lost to North Carolina State. Not that they're terrible, but they're certainly not somebody that everybody's threatened by, right? So they lost that one. But I look at Florida State. Well, who did they lose to? Well, they lost to Virginia. So I got to have Virginia above Florida State probably because Virginia won that game, even if it was in overtime or whatever. They beat Bama. So not so bad. Next up, they've got Miami, and that ought to be pretty interesting for Florida State because Miami is probably one of the top, 3-4 teams right now in the country that transfer quarterback Beck, who came down from Georgia, looks pretty damn good. But you've got Penn State lost to Oregon. They got one loss. Alabama lost to Florida State. We were just talking about them. They got one loss. Georgia lost to Alabama. LSU lost to Ole Miss, who looks freaking fantastic. And I had to throw Tennessee out, John, because they're giving up too many points. They only have one loss so far, but their defense stinks. They can't stop anybody. Their offense outscores people mostly, but they can't stop them. Eventually, that's going to bite you. But do you like that list, or is there somebody out there that you miss? I mean, like Illinois, I can't figure out. They gave up 60 points to Indiana. I don't think Illinois, they're going to have to show us a lot more before we can say, okay, yeah, Illinois is pretty damn good. I do think they're good. I like the coach. You don't get your butt kicked like that and bounce back right away. You've got to show everybody you're something special.
Well, Pete, as far as one-loss teams, let me hit a couple teams that are 0 losses. The Aggies, Texas A&M,
Yep.
Ole Miss Rebels, and Oregon Ducks, and Ohio State. I mean, those 4, nobody wants to play those guys. As far as one-loss teams, Pete, well, we have 2 right now that are Georgia and LSU. I don't think anybody wants to be the one coming off a loss like Georgia just had to Bama. I don't think anybody wants to play them this week, and I don't think anybody wants to play LSU this week either. So those are 2 of my picks as far as one loss. Yeah, they've each lost one, but those teams are damn good, damn good. And by the way, I did sort of overlook the Sooners, but they've got to show me more. If they beat Michigan at home, it would have been a different story. They beat them in Oklahoma. Yeah. I'm not saying that, the Oklahoma fans had that much edge, but Michigan traveling might not travel as well. And that's one of the issues for them, maybe.
Yeah, no, I hear you. I think that's very fair. And there's some great no-loss teams, like you were pointing out, John. I'll tell you what, I watched that Oregon Penn State game. I couldn't turn it off. I mean, it just an amazing game. Penn State came back really, really well. They needed to because they were not playing very well in the first half. It just didn't look good. But they got a different quarterback, a newer quarterback with Oregon. They've got all these great big guys on defense and offensive line and everything. I mean, they look the part of somebody who could be a national title winner. All right, as far as the NFL, John, who are the top 5 for you? Here, I'll give you my top 5, and then you could kind of, if you like them, great. And if I lost somebody, maybe you could throw it in there. But as everybody knows, and I'll tell right now, I love the Chargers, but they lost. Not so great. They didn't play as well as they needed to play to win that football game. But these teams that I've got, Buffalo is the most complete team there is. They're elite on offense and on defense right now. They just beat the hell out of people. And they had a great, game back and forth with Baltimore where, they ended up getting the win. But that was the one time where their defense didn't play all that great. But I'll tell you what, when you're going up against Lamar Jackson and that offense and Henry and everything else, I think you can give that a pass for the defense on that one. And they did win that game. How about the Colts, the Indianapolis Colts? I know that they've got a loss, but daggone it, John, their defense is really good. Their offense is playing at a nice level, and it's, sort of surprising, I think, to a lot of people. Eagles are coming back from a Super Bowl win. They still look great. They're the same Eagles they were last year. Detroit, despite losing the coordinators, they look pretty damn good. They had that loss early, I think, with Green Bay. I got it. Here's the crazy one. Seattle. Nobody's really talking much about Seattle and what they're doing and how they're doing it, and all the rest of it. They got a top-end offense. They got the number 2 defense with points against right now in the NFL. So you got that defense is that elite, and then all of a sudden you've got this offense that is doing everything they need to do. They got a couple of running backs that are damn good. The quarterback is playing really well, Sam Darnold. So that's what I've got for the NFL right now early on. I think those are fair teams that I think are all probably playoff teams when the time comes.
Well, I will say, Pete, that one of the teams that surprised me a lot are your friends' team, the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Yeah.
because Pete's friendly with the owner of the Jacksonville Jaguars, folks. And they beat the 49ers. Now, I know the 49ers are a banged up team, but Purdy was back.
Yep.
So did they have a fully healthy squad? No. But they beat the 49ers, and now they go in and play the Chiefs. Now, the Chiefs better have their game face on, Pete, because these guys are sneaky good. And the fact that, they have so many weapons on offense for the first time, the quarterback has a bunch of guys to throw to that can get open. So Monday Night Football against the Chiefs, I like that one a lot.
Yeah.
As far as a bounce back team, I would say, the Bucks, maybe they bounce back after having a tough outing against the Eagles, 31-25. And maybe, Pete, if San Francisco ever got healthy, I'd say they could have a bounce back. But, I don't know when, if ever, that'll happen. And the Eagles are, like I said, Eagles are just the best. I know you're high on the Bills and on I think that's a great Super Bowl matchup, Bills-Eagles, but I think the Eagles take them. Even with the tush push, Pete, I think the Bills are perfecting it, but the Eagles are the ones that basically created it.
Yeah.
And, they're healthy. They're putting up points on people. They're winning the ones they should win. And, they're going to have an interesting one on Sunday against the Broncos because that is a good team, the Denver Broncos. And I think that's going to be fun to watch.
Yeah, and I totally agree with you on the Jacksonville. I mean, Shad Khan has got to be excited beyond words, the owner of the team. He's got this quarterback that's finally playing like the quarterback that he expected for, first pick in the draft kind of guy. They've got Travis Hunter. They've got ETN. They've got a lot of guys that I think could be very scary, especially if you're on the defensive side having to go against them. But they got a good defense too. So I do think that they've got a lot of pieces of the puzzle. I still like my Chargers just because of what I've seen in the offensive line and everything else, but they dropped a game that they shouldn't have. So that's going to happen. That is the NFL. These guys are all getting paid. There's 32 of them. They're all going to get paid, and somebody's going to win, somebody's going to lose. But and my Buccaneers, still pretty proud of what they're doing, John, how they've turned around. They're playing against the Eagles. Like you just said, I mean, most likely a Super Bowl bound team. And it was a damn good game. So could they get them if they have to get them again at some point, maybe in the playoffs, if they both are there going head to head? They got a shot because they already showed us that they can go toe to toe. They ended up on the wrong side of it, but it was a damn good game.
Yeah. Yep. It used to be the opposite, Pete. It used to be that college games were all I really cared about and all I really cared to watch. Yeah. And I still love watching college games, but now with the Eagles, with the Broncos, with the Bills, Jacksonville. I mean, there are so many teams that I just love watching now.
Yeah.
And like I say, Jacksonville against the Chiefs on Monday night, I'm anxious for that one. And it might wake a lot of people up because a lot of people are going to figure, they're just going to roll these guys. Trevor Lawrence might have something to say about that now that he's got Travis Hunter and a bunch of other weapons, Pete.
Yep.
Like you said, Etienne, I think he rushed for like 130 last week against the Niners. And that kid is gold.
He is. They're special.
Well, thanks for joining us, folks. We encourage you to check out marketrebellion.com/get started. You can scan the QR code and or you can just type in what I said, marketrebellion.com/get started, because we've got coaches, we've got mentors, we've got distance learning and education, and then we've got the subscriptions, and it's all there at marketrebellion.com/get started. We will be back at what time tomorrow, Pete?
1 p.m. Eastern time, John. We're ready to rock.
Bang.